The Les Paul is one of the most iconic guitars to ever exist. Ever since I got into guitars, I was just kind of drawn to it, and over time, that appreciation that I had for it eventually grew over to Gibson's other models, like the SG, the ES, and the J200, and a lot more. I love those guitars, but what specifically makes the Les Paul special to me is that sound and iconography that comes with it. There's just that feeling of nostalgia and heritage that I get when I hold and play my Les Paul. Much like a Strat or a Telecaster, I'm holding and playing something whose design has stood the test of time. And I love that, even if it's an Epiphone and not a Gibson. Now, having to opt for an Epiphone instead of a Gibson is an unfortunate reality that a lot of people just have to deal with, including myself. People who just can't afford to shell out more than $1,000 for a guitar. But that doesn't mean that people like us can't get a great guitar in terms of sound and playability at a price point that doesn't break the bank. And what if I told you that that price point was just $100? This is my Epiphone Les Paul Special 1, and yes, it was just $100 before taxes and shipping. You might be wondering, why would I get another Les Paul when I already have one? Well, for the most part, it's about these little bars of soap right here, P90 pickups. It wasn't too long ago that I found out a decent chunk of music that I listen to actually uses guitars with P90 pickups in them. Music such as early Black Sabbath songs like Paranoid, Iron Man, etc. And a lot of music from some of my favorite genres, pop punk and punk. Prior to that discovery, I honestly didn't know that much about P90s at all, but after doing copious amounts of research on them, I just knew that I had to get my hands on a P90 guitar. And now here it is, in the form of the cheapest Epiphone there is. As far as I'm aware of, let me know in the comments if you found a P90 guitar or a Les Paul of this quality for less than $100. But anyway, despite that, I'm gonna get into all the great things about this guitar and why I decided to go with it, why I think it should be for your consideration as well, and then some of the drawbacks. So the first point I want to bring up about this is that I think this is a great way for someone like me who's never owned a P90 guitar to introduce themselves to this kind of platform. I don't think that there's a lot of affordable options for P90 guitars out there, at least on like this level. Before this guitar, I only played one P90 guitar, and it was at Guitar Center. It was one of the newer Epiphone releases. It was a black gloss guitar. That was the only Les Paul that they had on the floor with P90s in it. And I think those were going for like $800–900. So for this to be a Les Paul with P90s in it, I think is extremely competitive. And speaking of competitive, I think that this is just a really competitive package in general. Like, aside from the price, you get a solid mahogany body, an Indian laurel fretboard, not rosewood because, you know, they're endangered at the moment, but at least it's wood. You get two knobs, one volume, one tone, and a pickup selector. And then of course you have the P90s and then the wraparound bridge. It's a very simple guitar, but it's built well. I didn't have to adjust very much. I'm not sure if that's because I got it used and like it had already been kind of set up, but I didn't have to touch the truss rod. All I really did was lower the bridge to get the action down. So yeah, for $100 you get a Les Paul that sounds good, that feels good. It's by Epiphone, so it's got like the Gibson heritage to it. I feel like it can't get much better than that, especially for $100. And the last point I want to bring up, I think, is the reason why I've really clicked with this guitar, and it's that it doesn't really feel like it's a Les Paul. You might be thinking like, what does that even mean? What I'm saying is, when you think of the Les Paul, you don't think of this guitar. At least not me. When I think of the Les Paul, I think of like, you know, Jimmy Page with the Cherry Burst, or like Slash, the gold top, you know, the Les Pauls with like the pearl inlays and the cream binding and that like pick guard that like just comes across on this side. When I envision the Les Paul, I don't think of the Special, and particularly not this one. Even the typical Special by Gibson has at least 4 knobs and pick guard. But while this might not feel like a traditional Les Paul, it feels like its own guitar, and I kind of like that. Because of the simplicity of this guitar, it feels to me more like a blank canvas for me, the owner and the player, to kind of just go crazy with it, or you know, do what I want to it essentially. And that's exactly what I have planned for this guitar. For the next video, I plan on revamping this thing in order to go head to head with a Gibson Les Paul. But now I'm going to get into the negatives, and they're pretty much the opposites of all the positives that I just said. Yes, the guitar is affordable and it's great as an entry-level guitar, but that also means that some parts of it are cheap and there are areas where they cut costs on it. It's Chinese made, which might be a no-go for people. The pots aren't American, the pickups aren't American. A couple of the frets are a little bit high. I think it's on the 3rd, 5th, 7th frets. It doesn't have binding. The nut is plastic and actually needs to be replaced because it's kind of torn up a little bit. And yeah, although I like the paint and the finish on it, it's a poly coat, it's not nitro. So those things will definitely turn other people off from the guitar. For someone who's owned a P90 guitar before, specifically a Les Paul, they might not be enthused by this guitar like at all, and I understand. And the point that I made it how it doesn't feel like a traditional Les Paul, people might not go for that either. They want the pick guard, they want the 4 knobs, they want the pearl inlays, they want the binding, you know, etc. That's pretty much all I have to say. So to cap things off, I'm really happy with this purchase. I'm happy with how it plays. I'm happy with how it sounds. So yeah, stay tuned for that video where I turn this thing into a Gibson killer, quote unquote. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for making it this far. This was Thaddeus, or Thad for short, and I'll see you in the next one.